Hi, and welcome back to Real Estate Made Simple. I'm Rick Bosley, your host. I'm taking you through a journey through the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, where we're going to read you excerpts from the story, also some real-life personal experiences, and hopefully helping you to become a real estate investor in this market. Thanks for being here. Hi, welcome back. My name is Rick Bosley. This is Real Estate Made Simple, teaching you some basic principles and models and mindset to help you become a millionaire real estate investor. Or maybe even it's just any real estate investor. You see, investing is about following basic models, principles, math, and acting in spite of your emotion or your fear. That's what we talked about last episode, was fear can actually prohibit you from moving forward. Today, I'd like to continue that, and I'm on page 15. We'll read you different portions of this book and then really talk about how that applies to today. Share some of my personal experiences. My wife and I have 2 rental properties. By no means are we valid to be in the book, as you're going to hear. Some people average over 150 different properties, yet we do have some real life experiences and testimonies to hope and help to take you along the journey. If you have any questions along the way, I am the owner and operator of 3L Coaching, coaching real estate agents and entrepreneurs about how to build a big business. And also the Bosley Team Real Estate Solutions, specifically serving Central Florida. So if you want to invest in Central Florida or any of the greater areas, we can help you directly or find someone who can. So champions take the game out of luck, it says. Luck is one of those things, especially when people blame me for being lucky. And I say blame because sometimes it's a victim mindset. Oh, must be nice. You're so lucky there. And it says luck, blind luck, dumb luck, lady luck, no matter what you call it. Many people believe that luck is one of the most essential ingredients in real estate investing. Why you found a great investment property, the perfect tenant, the right buyer at the right time. The key elements seem to be a matter of fortuitous timing or simple coincidence. But here's the truth. Success in real estate investing is no more luck than success is in anything in life, right? From the people who graduate top in their class, it's not luck. It's a matter of their intentionality. Yes, there's some God-given talents and some skill sets and behavioral styles that might give people a certain advantage. Yet, really, and I'm going to mention this 2 or 3 times, I imagine, throughout this episode here, is luck is when preparation meets an opportunity. It's when preparation meets an opportunity. So as we're going through this book and this series, and you're listening and watching to this channel on investing right now, my goal and my desire is that gets you prepared, gets you thinking, gets you ready, gets you able, so when the right opportunity comes, you can act on it and therefore appear lucky. It's far to say that Lady Luck doesn't play your hand from time to time, but you can't rely on it or predict it. It is by definition your control. That's what luck is. And the best investors, the tried and true champs, don't count on good luck showing up. They use proven strategies, time-tested models, and make luck unnecessary. They take luck out of the game. A lot of people got hurt because back when this book was actually written in 2005, people were relying on luck, in which that is the market. And many people bought properties based on luck of appreciating and what the market's going to do. We saw this recently with large iBuyers, institutional buyers like Open Door, and they would buy a home relying on luck of appreciation. And many people got lucky with the timing, and then all of a sudden it stopped and it halted. And large companies like Zillow had to shut down departments, losing millions of dollars in investing because they were relying on luck. I'm not saying they're going in there blind and just at a whim, yet when appreciation was the number one factor in the investing, that was going, come on, appreciation. We know that in 2020 and 21 and 22, we are appreciating in double digits like we were for much of the past decade. And then from 22 to 23, we've plateaued, we've flattened. We've gone from 3% interest rates up to 7% interest rates for traditional home. And some might call that bad luck, some might call it bad timing. What we call it is people not able to hedge their bet. So he goes through, Gary Keller, talking about the game of Monopoly. It's one of my favorite games to play with my family as well. And Monopoly definitely has a factor of luck, how and when you roll, but it also has a factor of knowing which are the most common properties and how you can hedge your bet and taking some of the odds of the dice into play. So most of the time, people who play Monopoly and negotiate and trade well will often win well. So that's an excerpt of how he taught his son how to play Monopoly. And ultimately, the question is, how do you take the luck out of a real estate investing game? And much like Monopoly, the first thing you have to do is learn to play it. That's what we're going through right now. We're going to teach you how to play the game, because once you learn how to play Monopoly, then you can learn to win the game. So first, let's learn to play it, then you learn to win it. That means maybe, just maybe, your first real estate investment or first two or some one of your first five might be a loser, right? We can't win them all because that's part of that growth mode. And we're going to talk about that here in a second with one of his stories of how he lost $100,000. He says playing well and winning consistently both start with learning the proven, time-tested models. And models are where we stand on the shoulders of giants. We look at people who've lived before us, who've succeeded before us, and who've failed before us. So this next phrase is often referenced in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. We call it the Red Book. And it's big models beget big goals, beget big success. So let's break that down. He says early in life, he started making the connection between how he approached something and how the outcome of it was achieved. Do it one way, get one result. Do it another way, get a better result. He began to understand that there's a clear way of doing good things the right way. Along the way, he also learned there's usually an even better way to do it. His biggest epiphany came when he discovered that if he wanted the best, most predictable results, he couldn't just put forth a good or even a great effort. He had to do things the best possible way. In school, if he studied one way, he'd get a C. Studied another way, he'd get a B. Studied the best way, that's when he'd get an A. By paying close attention to his outcomes, he started to uncover the best ways to do things that matter to him. By being intentional and purposeful, he started to find success in the things he pursued. Let's be honest, I don't think you can or should be purposeful in every area of your life. The danger in bringing that kind of intensity to every task is you risk wasting a lot of time and energy perfecting things that really don't matter. It's being a jack of all trades but a master of none, or what I sometimes refer to as misplaced focus. He probably doesn't realize it, but this book here, called The One Thing, was later written. And the very first excerpt of this page, if you chase two rabbits, you'll catch neither one. And this is the one thing, which is a focus book. This isn't real estate, but you can apply the one thing to investing, to money, to business, to relationships. So another great read by Gary Keller here, The One Thing, and he references it here, the jack of all trades, the master of none. So in his effort to achieve more and more success, he discovered that his own learned experience wasn't always enough. Naturally, he started looking elsewhere, turned to books, teachers, mentors, consultants, podcasts, YouTube channels, PDFs, HGTV for some of you. Please don't get it from HGTV, but some of you do and know that that's entertainment, right? And books recounted success stories, and teachers alluded to research, and mentors taught from experience. Consultants cited specific sources, best practices. He didn't have to start at the beginning and learn from his own mistakes. He could start where someone else left off. He says, I could give up my need in order to learn. In fact, in this way, I could learn even faster. This is a breakthrough in my life, and quite truthfully, one of the biggest ahas ever. Some of the biggest successes that he's had in business and investing are due to this simple concept. And I highlighted this. I like to say that my best thinking was done by some other people. Think about it, the amount of research that went into this book and all these books behind us, the amount of research. This is someone else's life work, and they compiled it into 240 pages, and now you get to go do that. These are models proven, and so you don't have to go back there and do the research and do the thinking. Just learn from their mistakes and their wisdom and their successes. He says he became a collector of success stories and models, and over time discovered that every success story worth exploring had three fundamental parts: what a person thought he or she could do, how they did it, and what they accomplished. So what they thought they could do, how they did it, what they accomplished. That process, think, plan, produce, soon became the basis for his personal success story. Big goals powered by big models leads to big success. Big goals, big models, big success. The big goals push you to think and see new possibilities for your life. The big models make those possibilities more probable by giving your actions the foundation of proven, time-tested methods. And that is the formula for big success. He says we all have personal ceilings of achievement that are based on your current thoughts and have-beens. We talked about that a little bit. We said there's natural abilities, natural strengths, charisma, wisdom, programming, upbringing, knowledge, and that's our personal ceiling of achievement based on our current thoughts and habits. So if we don't like the way we're currently thinking and what we're doing, then we can change our programming, which leads us to new thoughts, feelings, actions, and ultimately results. So implementing the lessons learned from your own trial and error can raise that ceiling, but only so far and so fast. Proven models, in contrast, can help you raise your level of achievement dramatically in a relatively short period of time. So we want to look at other people's models. This is what we're doing here today. You want to be a real estate investor, or maybe you already are, yet you want to do it quicker, bigger, better, faster. This is not the get rich quick. This is picking up where someone else left off and learning from their wisdom through this. He says models help us avoid known stumbling blocks and reach your objectives faster than you could do it alone. It's a huge leap of faith to assume that those starting at the bottom with only their own knowledge and experience will ever reach the place where proven models even begin. So he has this visual here, and it's on page 20. And he says you've got kind of a thermometer, and on the bottom is you just figuring it out and winging it and going along the way. And then where the models begin, and then it goes to the top. And it reminds me, like anything, the instruction manual. And if you're like me, then oftentimes you open up whatever you're putting together or assembling, and first you figure it out on your own. And then once you hit a roadblock, then you stumble, then you go back and look at the proven models. Someone designed that IKEA cabinet. Someone did that over the weekend. I changed the golf cart from lead acid batteries to lithium batteries. Never done that in my life. I'm not an electrician. I don't rehab golf carts. It seemed simple enough. So I opened everything up. I put it in. A little bit of a flame kicked over here. I blew a fuse over there. I was like, I should probably stop. And then I looked on YouTube. Sure enough, there was models there. Someone who had done this before, who created it and knew exactly what to do. I watched a 6-minute YouTube video and then went back, installed, and changed lithium. We do it all the time. We look and reference models. Sometimes, if you're like me, you only do it after you fail forward the first time. If you're like other people, probably smarter than me, look for the models first. That's what we're doing right now. This is a book of models, and hopefully you're still here. So he says that's why when we started research the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, he says we went on the quest for the very best real estate investing models that we could find. The ones used by the best players in the investment game. Through many months of intensive research, interviews, masterminds, group meetings, we did just that. And the models that they share are the best practices of some of the most successful real estate investors. It says today, now I do want to disclaim that this book was written in 2005. Yet what you're going to realize and reference is that many of these models are still timeless. They are evergreen, have new factors come into play. Of course, the short-term rental, the Airbnb, the cost of money. That's changed even just 6 and 12 months ago. So the game is always changing with the tweaks, the players, the rules, the conditions, the obstacles. Yet Monopoly is still Monopoly, and it's been a timeless game, and so is investing. I'm not comparing investing to Monopoly yet. I guess I am, right? So we're going to bring in some real life experiences that we're getting through our own masterminds. Keller Williams has KW Wealth, led by Brett Tanner. And he's got different courses. So we're going to bring in some very current, relevant things. I'll talk to you about some market deals that my wife and I are currently doing. But know that the models that we're talking about here are still proven. In fact, in the book, they interviewed everyone here owned at least $1 million worth of real estate assets, not including their personal residence. 60% had achieved an excess of $1 million in equity in their investment portfolios. And they averaged 50 rental units, $100,000 in net profit, net cash flow, $100,000 a year. Career investors purchased an average of 150 properties, even a few who had bought and sold over 1,500 properties in their careers. Their research was thorough, the results were compelling. Successful investors clearly follow proven models. Proven models for selecting, buying, owning real estate can generate the kind of remarkable results these investors have achieved. They are the models presented in these pages. So I share that with you because we'll be using and referencing this book and these models, and then we'll be bringing in some relevant stuff that we hear and learn through people like this book, through Win-Win Wealth or The Simple Path to Wealth or the Wealth Community. You know, Brett Tanner, when he was here, guest speaker, and he's the leader of KW Wealth, he mentioned how he has this property and he would buy it and then sell it, and then sometimes he would keep it. Initially, it was he would flip, sell, and the flips would pay the cash flow for the holds. So I'm there eagerly taking notes and put my hand up. And I said, well, you don't need the cash flow anymore. You have the cash flow. So why are you still selling property? Right? Why are we still selling property if we know that this is the vehicle to build wealth? And he said, because I'm willing to put an offer on any piece of property. He has a real estate team, and every listing appointment he goes on, he first evaluates going, this is what I will purchase it for. This is what we will market it for. And they're two very different prices. And if the seller wants the quick, convenient way and says the price is the good, the number is good, I will buy it. he figures out a way to buy it. Once he buys the good deal, that's when he can identify, what do I want to do with this to maximize my money and my cash flow. So let's look at an example of that good deal. And Gary Keller talks about the $100,000 that got away. He says, one summer weekend while vacationing at a popular beach resort, Mary, his wife at the time, and I ran into a real estate agent in the elevator. My wife asked, how's the market? Heard of any good deals? That sound familiar, real estate agents? Actually, I know of a great deal right here in the building. It's a condo, just came in the market. Would you like to see it? At first, we weren't sure. Buying wasn't really on our minds, but it seemed like a fun thing to do, so we took a look. Turns out the agent lived in the building, and even though it wasn't her listing, she knew a lot about the property. She relayed that the owners lived out of town, as did the agent. It was a corner with beach views in great shape. Condo was listed for only $160,000. He said, Mary and I had been coming to the beach for years and began, as we were real estate agents, always picked up local magazines and looked at the online, pursued the market. And they had an understanding decently of the values and what would recognize as a good deal or not. And he remembers vividly that her words was, this is a steal. Like any good agent, she said, you want to put in an offer. And even though he knew he could afford it, it was obviously a good deal. He hadn't yet become a true investor, the one who would not let a good deal pass by. Thanks for the time and said we'd think about it, and goes on to say that's just kind of a polite way or the euphemism to saying, nope, no thanks, I'm good. If you want to stay in touch, that's fine, but not really. Well, he moves to go forward and says, a couple weeks later, talking with my wife, realized that it is a good deal, we should move forward, picked up his phone, called the agent, to which she laughed. And she said, I told you that was a steal. It sold the next day. To which Gary says he hung up, turned to his wife and said, we just lost $100,000 because that was a property that was $160,000, could have been wholesaled and sold for $260,000. And by not being ready and willing to be the investor, first you got to think it, then you act upon it, right? We talk about that point form. Programming leads to your thoughts, thoughts to your feelings, feelings to your actions, action to your results. He wasn't thinking, he wasn't programmed like an investor. Therefore, when the opportunity came, the action was delayed by 2 weeks, someone swooped in. One of the goals we have is you listen to this series and watch this series and read this book. That's what we want to say. We want to help you get programmed to know when the good deal is. The personal story my wife and I had a couple years ago, we did the One Thing Goal Setting Retreat. They do it every fall. And we're at the One Thing Goal Setting Retreat and analyzing what is our goals for our family and our style and everything we want to do. And one thing we said was we would love to buy a short-term rental property in the upcoming year. This was in October, and when we both said we would do it, and we've got money set aside for it, and let's go look for it. No joke, 2 weeks later, a rental property that we had already booked through the Airbnb all of a sudden canceled our reservation. So I did a private message to the owner or the landlord, property manager, and said, oh no, we have a vacation plan. What happened? And this is November, and she said, we've had a change of plans. We've got to sell the property. We'll be listing it in January. When my wife and I just talked about buying an Airbnb, this is one that we obviously would love to be at. Seemed like a great opportunity. So we said, how much are you selling it for? Long story short, the price was great. We were able to purchase the home as a real estate agent. I was able to do it off market, which means they didn't have any fees, and I built in the equity. We purchased the home. It appraised for over $50,000 more than we bought it. We had our first tenant in it less than 2 months later, and it's been a cash flowing investment property for us. If we bought it back in 2021, we know what the real estate market has done. None of that would have been available or ready to happen if we didn't have the prior models, the prior thinking about building wealth with a plan. We would have been ready to take upon that action. When you think about it, she probably canceled 30 or 40 reservations, and we were the one that took action. Was that lucky? I think there's some luck involved with it. But luck, again, is when preparation meets an opportunity. And we were prepared to do it. The opportunity came, and we seized that. So he goes to talk about, he was asking the wrong questions. He was asking, should I make an investment? What he should have been asking is this a deal? A true real estate investor would not have walked away from a great opportunity. A true real estate investor would have had the confidence to act when the opportunity presented itself. What he's come to know as the foundational truth is that all of real estate investors should wake up every morning and say to ourselves, I am an investor. I am building financial wealth. Is this the day I find an opportunity to make a deal? That's a great affirmation you can do for yourself. He said it wasn't until he lost such a great opportunity that he finally got it. Call that failing forward, right? So we can fail forward and going, yep, not going to let that one happen again. I got started in real estate in 2010, 2011, and I remember very amateurly putting offers in on homes, not understanding economics. I'm 28 years old, just started real estate, just started understanding what was happening. And my gosh, the deals that were out there that I was negotiating, little things, little tiny things, thousands of dollars that should have been a moot point. It should have been acquire. And hindsight's always 2020. And I didn't know what I didn't know, and now I know it. And so the next time those opportunities come, my goal is that my wife and I can seize that opportunity. So he says $100,000 lesson learned. I vowed never to make the mistake again. I knew that I had to learn. I had to learn how to recognize an opportunity when you saw it and understand the appropriate action to take. Need to learn how to build financial wealth through smart investing. Need to learn how to become an investor, and a great one at that. And where to find the best models for doing that. He goes that he started having regular breakfast with a guy named Michael who was teaching about investing. And he says it was Michael's television show that got the ball rolling. One day he called me up and said, Gary, I want to interview you for my show. You want to talk about how I had made the leap from building a great small business to a great big one. And of course, when I say Gary, it's Gary Keller of Keller Williams. After the show, they met for breakfast, continued, had so much fun learning about businesses just we do on a regular basis. And before he knew it, every Tuesday he was having breakfast with Michael. So as they went through, they discussed and they became an investment club and talking about building wealth. And I think there's such an important factor here because many of the models discussed at that breakfast are the foundation for this book being written. And he said, I didn't realize it, but I created an investor club and there was just 2 members. If you're watching this or listening to this, I encourage you, go find your investment club. Whether it's peers, whether it's adversaries, whether it's colleagues, who can meet with on a regular basis and talk about building wealth, talk about opportunities. There are opportunities everywhere. Gary, how can you make your net worth grow? And that's the question. That's the question. How can you make your net worth grow? And your net worth is going to grow when you buy things for undervalue. When I can exchange $10 for a $15 asset that I can sell tomorrow for $15, I just made my net worth grow by 5. When you buy consumables, your net worth's going away because you're trading cash and asset for food. Not, right? So that's the net worth. So every day we are eating and we are spending and we are paying interest and our net worth is depreciating. So we need to out-earn our consumable habits, if you will. KW Wealth is a great community for that, which you can sign up for right now. So if you have questions about that, drop it in the comments or let me know what that looks like. So one of the things he learned is a simple difference between financial riches and financial wealth. Being rich is about having money. You can have a job and be very rich. The problem is that when money stops coming is when you stop working for it. Financial wealth, by contrast, is about owning assets, such as businesses or real estate that generate money for you. And that goes back to cash flow quadrant that we talked about in the last episode. So for 10 years, he met with that friend and he learned after a time, he started acting on that new knowledge. One of the first things he did was recognize a good real estate opportunity and act on it. Coincidentally, his first investment as a true investor also happened to be a condo deal. While I was interviewing for someone in the sales positions, I ended the conversation with, do you know of any good deals? Fast forward, he heard about an apartment that was being sold with multiple units. So it wasn't a condo, it was a condo complex. And he was able to hold on to it, create some cash flow, and ultimately sell it for a net profit of $500,000. So he talks that his $100,000 mistake taught him a great deal of lessons that he was able to then parlay that lesson and then be able to earn ultimately his investment portfolio here. Why do we share all this? Because we talk about big models, big goals, big success stories, right? We talk about how we can learn from the standing on the giants of others and shoulder to shoulder of giants. This book is going to give it to us. As we move forward and as we continue, we're going to talk next week about focus, into 3 areas of focus and how the 80-20 principle applies, how to go through the myths that you might be thinking about or maybe that we need to debunk and change that programming, investing myths, and how we can start thinking like a million. This book is really broken down into 2 sections. The first half of it is think, and the second is act. So you're going to hear a lot of mindset because if your mindset's not pure, then it becomes a really cool fairy tale. And our goal is that becomes a reality for you and a nonfiction, and we can move forward as your real estate investor resource. Hopefully you're enjoying this content and the way it's being delivered. If it's helping you, please give me a like or subscribe. Let me know this is good, and if you want to hear something else or have questions based on what I'm saying, please do ask it. We monitor all of our channels and all of our social media here, so I'd love to be a resource for you to help with your goals. Thanks for being here. My name is Rick Bosley. owner-operator of 3L Coaching and the Bosley Team Real Estate Solutions here at Keller Williams in Orlando, Florida. And this is Real Estate Made Simple. Take care.